My name is Morrison. I'm the artistic director of Yaakin Theatre Company and also the director of King Hit, which means that I'm basically the outside eye. The cast, the actors, the fight choreographer, the movement director, the lighting designer, the set designer, all of these people are going to work together to create the show. And so my job is to basically be maybe a step ahead and to keep thinking of where we go to next. When we're doing a scene, I will be thinking about, what kind of energy that we need, whether we need it to be fast-paced or we need it to slow down a little bit, depending on, the overall journey of the play. So I'm also see myself a little bit like a football coach in a way. That's why I wear my Melbourne Demons hat. Nyon win yards. But in that way that the team will be working together to create the story, to create the game plan, to put the structure and the strategy in place. And my job is to kind of oversee that and to make sure that things that are done are in the best interest of the story, in the best interest of the play. I think one of the big challenges for this play is the authenticity. We really need to make sure that the characters, these old Aboriginal characters, and these scenes with these scenes around the missions, around the reserves and places like that we get that right, because that's very recognisable still in the Aboriginal community, and we make sure that the authenticity is there, so that way when we do go into the theatrical land and the theatrical styles, that we can play with that a little bit, we can have a bit of fun, but the authenticity and the truth of the story is the nucleus with which we can branch off, and we can talk about silly things and we can have fun. But as long as that truth is there, then that fun is a lot more believable, a lot more accessible as well. So that's, I guess, my job is to make sure that the overall picture is secure. Well, I guess the preparation starts a long time ago. The preparation starts in, choosing the right people. As a director, once you get your team right, that's half the job, or maybe even 3/4 of the job. Now my job is to make sure that the decisions that I've made a long time ago, that they meld together. So, some of the interesting decisions early was, who's going to play the Barker Bulldog, who's going to take that central role and be able to hold that play together, who's going to have the right heart and artistic and creative eye to frame the world, to design the set and costumes, and who are the right people to support those two roles. And it really came down to this idea of this ensemble. So the ensemble meaning that there are 3 actors who are supporting Clarence in his role of telling Jeff's story. So those decisions needed to be made months and months and months ago, and they needed to be made a year ago. Who was going to design it? Who's doing the music? What kind of music do we want? Do we want an acoustic feel? Do we want more of a classical feel? That means we've got to get a different sound designer. Different lighting designer will give us different ideas. Jenny Vila works with a very soft palette, a very kind of warm and even sculptural kind of way of lighting things and people. And I think, that really will work well with the way that India's giving us lots of space to play with. So those decisions months and months and months ago, it's about the team, it's about who you're working with. And then once those decisions are done, we put everybody together. And then my job is to then, in the weeks prior to the show, is to look at the script, look at the journey of the script. These are the scenes that happen, and these are the emotional arcs that happen. This is when we can have some really good design moments. This is when we use all our lights. This is when we use 2 lights, or this is the feeling that we want here. And so I got that map of that whole show, and that happens weeks prior to the show. And then the first week of rehearsals, I've got to come in with an idea of how the rehearsals are going to go, what we want to achieve by the end of every week or by the end of every day. So this is, my job is to make sure that I've got the big picture in mind. and that preparation is very, very important for a director. Well, I first read the script when I was 17, so my first impressions were, as a young actor, that I get to do some boxing, that I get to get in there and have some high energy, high impact, high emotion kind of scenes, and get to jump around and then also balance that with some really emotional moments. And as an actor, you get to do the whole range of that in this show. You get to do the happy stuff. You get to do a bit of characterization. But lately, when I read it in the last year, I realised how important it is for this continual conversation around reconciliation, around recognition, around truth as well about what has happened in this state and to our people in the last 50 years. Because a lot of people will hear and know about the stolen generations, but unless you actually see the result of those policies and the result of those things happening, you're never going to get a sense of what that actually means for a wider community if you don't actually get a story of one person. So I think Jeff's story and the story of the King Hit and the Barker Bulldog will give people and mainly school students who might not have the access to Aboriginal people a sense of where this anger, where this resentment, where this disenfranchisement comes from, because this is a long time running, these policies and these ideas. So I think it's about time now to reintroduce the idea of why a lot of Aboriginal people are so angry. And looking at this play, I get angry again. And it's a good cathartic experience because we're working with the wider community, and it's not just Aboriginal people working on this. We're it's a West Australian story with West Australian artists. So it's a very important story, and it needs to be shared, and people need to really come in.
It's all right. Why did you say so before?
There's gonna be a fight in this house. There's gonna be a fight in this house. We fight by the Marquess of Queensbury rules. No rabbit punching, no hitting below the belt, and no king hits. Keep it clean, boys. Keep it clean. Touch gloves and come out fighting. Keep it clean, Bulldog.